Picture this: 4 friends, a bonfire in the woods, and a simple dare to make the night unforgettable. Sounds like harmless fun, right? But when curiosity turns to terror, not everyone makes it out. This is the story of Mia, Jackson, Ellie, and Chris. 4 friends who found an ancient board game buried under the ashes of a campfire. What they thought was a harmless joke quickly spiraled into something they couldn't control. Buckle up, because this game doesn't play fair. It started as most bad ideas do, with teenagers and boredom. Mia was the adventurous one, always looking for the next thrill. Jackson was the skeptic, convinced nothing supernatural was real. Ellie hated scary stuff, but went along because she had a crush on Chris, who thought he was invincible. They decided to camp in the woods, behind Mia's house, deep enough to feel isolated, but close enough to run home if things got too creepy. While setting up the fire, Mia found an old wooden box buried under some rocks. It was charred, covered in strange carvings, and held together with rusty nails. Inside was a dusty game board with cryptic symbols and worn playing pieces. "What is it?" Ellie asked, already uneasy. Mia shrugged. "It's probably like some weird vintage Monopoly. Let's play." The board had no instructions, just the words, "Complete the game or lose it all." That should have been their first clue to stop. But instead, Chris joked, "What's the worst that could happen? Bankruptcy." They placed their pieces on the board, rolled the single ancient die, and watched as the symbols on the board lit up faintly. Mia laughed nervously. "Okay, that's weird, but kind of cool, right?" Each player was assigned a card after their first roll. The cards were written in cryptic phrases. Mia's said, "The fire that burns brightest will burn out the fastest." Jackson's read, "Doubt the game, and the game will doubt you." Ellie's card whispered, "The quietest ones make the loudest screams." Chris grinned at his card, which said, "The fearless fall the hardest." "Sounds like someone's trying too hard to be spooky," Jackson muttered. But the moment Chris rolled the die again, the air around them changed. The fire suddenly flared up, bright enough to make them all flinch. "Okay, how did you do that?" Ellie asked, her voice shaky. Chris smirked. "I didn't. This thing's just rigged for Halloween vibes." The game's first challenge revealed itself. A riddle. Words etched themselves into the board, glowing like embers. "Find the shadow in the flames." Mia, ever the adventurer, scanned the woods beyond the campfire. "It's just a riddle, guys. We solve it. We move on." But as the others debated what to do, Ellie noticed something in the flames. A figure, faint but unmistakable. It was standing inside the fire, staring back at her. Guys?" she stammered, pointing. The others looked, and the figure disappeared. Chris laughed nervously. "Nice one, Ellie. Did you download a horror movie script before we came out here?" But the board didn't wait for them to argue. The die rolled itself, landing on Mia's turn. Her card burned away in her hand, the flames leaving no ashes. The words, "Show your worth or lose your flame," glowed on the board. Before anyone could react, Mia's lantern flickered and went out. The fire dimmed, casting long, eerie shadows across the campsite. This isn't funny," Mia shouted, clutching her flashlight. It wouldn't turn on. The game piece in front of her moved on its own, landing on a new space. Another riddle appeared. "Face the dark, or it consumes you." The group stared at her. "I think you have to go into the woods," Jackson said hesitantly. Mia's face went pale. "I'm not going in there alone." Chris sighed, rolling his eyes. "Fine, I'll go with her." As the two disappeared into the trees, the remaining three huddled closer to the fire, which burned lower and lower. Then the screaming started. Chris came running back alone, breathless, blood on his shirt. "Mia's gone," he yelled. Something took her." The board glowed again, revealing the words, "The fire burns brightest no more." Mia's piece vanished. The gam. Ellie wanted to quit, but the die rolled again, this time landing on her. Her card reappeared in the flames, reading, "Face your fear or feed the game." Ellie began crying. "I'm not playing anymore," she shouted, throwing her piece away. But the board didn't care. Her piece reappeared, and the fire flared again. The forest around them seemed to close in, the sounds of the night growing louder and more menacing. Her task? Step into the silence. The group tried to reason with her, but Ellie shook her head. "I can't. I won't." The shadows around the fire seemed to move, creeping closer. Ellie's screams were cut off abruptly, and when the others turned, she was gone. Her card burned in the flames, and the board whisper. The loudest screams have fallen silent. Now it was just Jackson and Chris. "We have to finish," Jackson said, his voice shaking. Chris rolled the die, his cocky grin long gone. His card appeared again. "The fearless will fall." Chris's challenge was to cross the stream near the campsite, alone. He scoffed, trying to play it cool, but as he stepped into the water, the current turned violent. Shadows beneath the surface wrapped around his legs, pulling him under. Jackson watched in horror as Chris disappeared. The fire went out completely, and the board glowed one final time. Jackson's card read, "Doubt the game, and the game doubts you." He stood frozen, but the board didn't wait. The woods grew darker, the silence deafening. One by one, the stars disappeared from the sky, leaving Jackson alone in pitch-black darkness. The board whispered, "The game is over." When hikers found the campsite days later, all they saw was the abandoned game board. But the fire pit wasn't empty. A new card sat there, smoldering with fresh words. Mia, Jackson, Ellie, Chris. The game continues. What happened to them? No one knows. But the board is still waiting for its next players.
Thanks for sticking to the end. If you like this kinds of videos, please like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know when I post the next one. Till next time, bye for now.